dedicated to those beings who, even in the unstable conditions of life on Earth, seek to make their way to the essence present in their own cosmos. For them, the course and purpose of this text will be a tool of confirmation and strengthening. The Brotherhood of Light, Verses of Prophetic Instruction, by Daniel Gagliardo. The steps that were orientated towards negotiation are stopped. They change course, and the sounds that accompanied their execution are turned off. They cross their swords, and the steel that makes them does not flash. Broken and confused, they touch the bottom and dive into the mud. They will still be seen, but in the next cycle, the doors for them will be wide open. From behind the mountain they rise. Silently they show themselves to the world and through the world. They establish the unknown and discover to the stunned a path that is impassable in their present condition, but it links them in consciousness with their future possibilities. Cyclops betray each other. They cross threads by dangerously wielding their secrets. Thence, their immobility will seem an eternity. However, the trick will fail, and, as on the dung, the fungi will multiply, spreading their poison. The eyes of the cosmos set their signs on misery fertilized by chaos. Their vision of what is being executed issued the order. The three levels obey and decompose into light. Then the sun never sets. The stars are dancing. The insane will be even more so. The beast digs its jaw, hallucinating, into its own high. It drinks its own blood in a ritual that will kill her without thirst. You gather together, will give yourself to the prayer-giving will. They played with the distance in their favor, but now the law offered them another side of the dubious coin. Their calculations hit the ground with perversely sustained illusion. See them with the eyes of your soul. Thus, you will understand their actions and be prudently alert. You and we, by the divine energy of cohesion, reflect the Brotherhood of Light. The essence of the One anoints in our fraternity the eternal. If you confirm in faith His truth, you are already living the new era. Faith, yes, though never without the firmness of the truth. There, do you not see that your incapacity is not genuine? Are you so inertial that your energy is a stranger to you and moves you to distrust? There. When the nation of magic reinforces its attempts to turn to the light that guides everything, his long hand will snatch without spilling the blood of the righteous. Before it turns to the earth, it will volatilize. They were trained to speak more convincingly, and their purpose became even darker. Their sweet glow and give blessings in expectation of the benefit that conviction operates. They will have washed the 12, yes, but the impurities which are endemic in them reveal the past, present, and future stains. When you turn to the light, you do nothing but seek your own identity. Thus, if you still wonder who you are, it is that the path of the light is somehow foreign to you. Persist. That no being can advance without first discovering his identity in the unique. Draw a sign in you that will reveal to the world who you are. Do not depend on what your bodies demand. Courageously face the solitude of the instruction. The world will offer you company in exchange for your renunciation of the high. If you accept that, you will know the worst of loneliness, to be an outcast in darkness. You openly say that you do not know how long you will be able to resist. What makes you think you should know? What false promise do you make regarding that which has your measure to instruct you? These are times of threat, and the harsher they will be in the near future. On the threat, they keep their acolytes prisoners of fear. They broke boundaries and mixed up what could still express their identity. They moved beyond what was allowed. Their disillusion now is. But they, in their blindness, walk on the fires that have begun to purify them. The purple and the green ally themselves to stop the destruction of their domains. Crazy games make those responsible erratic. There will be no rules for you, but they will impose their ambition as such. Thousands of years of promises have led to credulity being broken. They get agitated and seek to deceive. They do not apply their voices from the higher. Before they intrigue and resolve their involvement even more perversely, watch. They will give you no warning when their game is about to end. When those who dare to determine their steps are perceived, the subjective mechanism of the world will be revealed in an unprecedented way. That which you observed as the law of possibilities will surrender before the unique law. To dare in fate and to live your fate with boldness will be given to you to apex transit. You will see what lies fallen, fall and rise up, what is high above. Thus, The true limits will be revealed and known to you. The third is not absent, but his manipulation would make it seem so. They seek your insensitivity in order to model your reason according to their benefits. They assure you that they can give you what you already have, while promising you the solution that lies within you. When they look at you, they see no light in you, but only oil for their lamp. They use their techniques to offer happiness, being that they arise from ignorance of the cosmic law. You will recognize them by their deeds, as it was already been anticipated by him, but from among them also by the comfort and idleness that they will try to establish in you as a doctrine. The nucleus again radiates death. The reiteration of its indifferences to the law increases the chaos. The dragon and the serpent agitate the world in order to give them renewed tests. Still, it will not be long before the apex, but they are determined to know which will be the last drop that will overflow the bowl. Wound upon wound, they deny pain as a disadvantage before the learning offered by the light and rejected. Resources have collapsed. Now everyone is wandering around like ants looking for a path. The paths, clogged with debris, are only visible to those who trash them inside. Sellers of miracles try to do what they know. Many stop without knowing that there is no chance for the delayed. Scorpions skip in their purchase in exchange for the little that would have allowed them to reach their destination. Inattentive, they will reach out for the poison that, misunderstood, they will mistake for food. They die of thirst, empty and dry by a river of life. Silent pilgrims cross where no one would dare to cross. They answer what no one will dare to answer. They surrender in faith what no one dares to surrender. They despise that for which the wolves will kill. They feed on what is not considered food by those who are ready to die of starvation. They crowd into Caesar's saucer and value it delusively. The scale do not meet their expectations. Furious, they disguise the lead as a radiant sun and exhibit it to those who support the cult of the extinct. But so much weight breaks the forelegs of the holder, and broken they plot how to hide the deception. The black and the yellow stir in their burrow. You give yourself in that hour to the only thing for which you are instructed. That which will fire as soon as night falls in the south will not stop you. You will live through it, but you will not suffer it. It will impact on those who will put into effect, in those hours, strengthen in you the will of the light. The desert, you know, is as wide as the distance that separates you from the essence itself. The world can be then barren, but if you communicate with your own internal cosmos, no one will stop offering you oases. O nomad of the sand sea, how much you sink for trying to carry that which is useless. Do you seek to add another skeleton to the grain of the desert, or, consummating its crossing, to deliver your mandate to those who would need to wait for it? Only carry your purified conscience. In it, all provision is imperishable. When something collapses, it points to that which in the future will offer empathy for mirroring it. They cannot see the signs and they are offering. They draw back the veil of those who seek to transform themselves. Denied and impelled, they will not agonize. Their substance is not of the world, and when they think they see them bleed, they will not understand that they poured out to fertilize the wilderness. Quickly, we'll pass in front of 7 portals, and the 8th will take off its shoes. It will wait for the signs. The winds will animate with their light the fire of its consciousness. Although the portal is spacious, we'll enter it curving. After 12 days, we'll return and become visible to the world. From that hour, you will know the last stage has begun. Can you be as still like the arrow under the tension of the rope? You will understand that only in this way you will be able to project yourself to the rhythm of the need that embrace you. You should not mind influencing the degree of tension that which you must attend to. May the tension serve you to project yourself even more deeply towards the unique purpose. For them, music, and for you, harmful noise, the inharmonious stains of their footsteps bastardizing the planetary life will require you in service. By cultivating poison and harvesting death, they steal the precious energy that must supply everything. They did not learn from the past experiences. Blinded by the ambition and contempt, they forgot that after defeating Goliath, David has continued to be persistent and immortal, carrying his sling. You will have seen the bee disappear extinct by then. The flower will cry out for it without resolving the synthesis of its indispensable cooperation. You have also suffered in those times the absence of the limpid birds. The dawn will cry out for them, and the dawn will reveal that there are no songs that foretell it. Clouds of harmful insects will be the tools of darkness without the strong poisons being able to overcome them. The winds will carry the sounds of desolation while feeding the purifying fire. Fulfill in that time the sign that will be given to you. Be attentive. There will not be a moment for doubt. Any pulse of the energy that is given to you will be uncoverable. If you lose it, as well as portentous if you channel it. Do not be afraid to be left out of understanding these stimuli. Just be open to the source that governs and nurtures them. Their conception, as well as their constitution, are not offered to you to confirm the world in its condition, but to transform it. Put yourself at the level of what they require, only detachment and renunciation of the known. Be before them as an albatross before a draft. If you understand why, you will be on the way to synthesis and economy. They propose stillness and silence as the only immediate consequence, before revealing to you the sidereal path through the truth in harmony. Synchronous, they come to the call and gather around the blue hillside. They purify themselves and establish the court. They cross the threshold as one and merge as not to return to their old condition. The freed light opens up and manifests itself to the pilgrim. For him, hillside and threshold are now unmistakable signs. He plunges into the secret, preserving it from all stalking. You were told in the southern cone only 2 could be given birth until now, but so it was with Abel and Cain. Tragically, you cannot prevent your episodes from being coincidental. When you will learn from those who before you went through the detour, but now Abel will not succumb. The will of energy requires it. Safeguard the essence of the forest in your consciousness. Safeguard the ancient forest in the aura of the hierarchy. The strident, silent, and delicate forest. The majestic cooing of the seas still alive. The harmony of the glacier and its descendants. Safeguard warriors. That which cries out for you and in you. Give your life to life. Some of you responded to our Brotherhood's training. You will recognize yourself as pilgrims. You will need enough balance for the time when you discover that you no longer fear anything. So great was that habit of fear of yours that you, at that point, will wonder if you are going mad. Sacred madness, in any case. Know that you have to call it so. Riders 4. The elements will respond to the commands of the One in purifying service. Harmony is born by means of the chaos of the conflict, so that it will no longer be hidden. O fourth energy, your aspect as light will no longer be placed in this universe. Your synthesis here, too, will be revealed. In the south you see the bird rise. They will not give value to their sign. But when from the north the shadow appears, they will be confused and leave their positions exposed to the reaper. They will then see those who carry what can only be celebrated by death. As the child cries in whispers, the barriers that separate everything are shaken. The child's eyes shine before the light that cannot yet be seen. Its dried mouth is thirsty, but fed in a full of energy it will wake up tomorrow. Its arms without strength today will hold its own and those of others. Feel the breeze, and the bird of the south travels to meet it. The child sleeps, but its consciousness remains awake and resplendent. Then they will be looking for the elder of the south. They will beg him for instructions. He will turn his eyes to the situation and rise with the light of the dawn. They will go for others, but not for any of them. They will turn their eyes to the situation and find in it the light releasing what lies captive. Out from the mist, the mountain will rise, and the path will open before them. The nation of power will see its territory sink in a fragmented way. It will draw on its old resources, but the will not allow it. To 1/3 the island will emerge and fire will circulate, purifying the West. They transcended friction and fluidized by assisting what was held back. Today is not the future. Do the same. Be tools of fluidification. Then, in the future, we will take care of what was not deferred. Another kid, and another. Thousands are wandering. They erect a king out of fear and deviant devotion. Feel their thoughts, how they impact the clarity and give more power to the shadows. From the circle of fire the sphere emerges. It builds a bridge to which only those disinherited by man have access by right. Even a child will devour a piece of a corpse before it collapses. First 7, then 3, but then still 12 and 21. They open up like flowers in a pond, water lilies suspended by the will, from the internal worlds seen as mirrors. Now 8, and then 12. The light hides them. Shadows cannot unwrap them. It seems to transit, but it does not. It only seems so at the breath of nightfall. His face, still without features, it's revealed in those, silent by the will. It flows and nothing stops it. It is revealed in those, silent by the will. It destroys what no longer serves. It is revealed in those, silenced by the will. Reveals what still takes refuge behind costumes. Revealed in those silent by the will. It amalgamates what is broken. It is revealed in those silent by the will. It announces that is already the new time. It reveals itself in those silent by the will. Consume that which could not be postponed. It is revealed in those silent by the will. It expresses itself as stillness. It reveals itself to those silent by the will. Now in everything is, fulfilling what the voice of the prophets announced. It is revealed in those silent by the will. Do you understand then why the will guides you towards the silence? The 12 met urgently and in secret, but the key was not put on time. Their machination, like a condemned man escaping from confinement, takes the world by storm. They will recognize nothing, but the breakage will speak for itself. The purple will seek to strengthen its spell to distract. It will be its first phase of the end. Exposed, it will be left to choose the wrong side. Eventually, it will show that it never did. Of which one representative will go? You will see the sword of treachery wielded sincerely. Like puppets will the East fill. There is no strength for anything they will have. The bow will seem equivocal, but wait for 7th and see the result. The foundation was deeply wounded, and its walls of illusion will not have immediately felt the impact. Crescent breaks under pressure, the sword of the core wielded as a threat. They will not give her credit. Their form of not living prevent them from understanding more. They infiltrate and will not come to results. Half Moon releases Pandora's hands. She will not resist again. She will open the box. You are needlessly waiting for us. We are among you. You are blinded by your own will. You have built mounts to death, and therefore you do not perceive the envoys of life. You give yourself away with trophies when you believe that you do more than others. For that reason, you do not perceive the Brotherhood of the Light donated entirely to your evolution as cosmic universal participants. David, O David, desolate you will be to see the deadly blade they have given to your star, their bath of innocent blood. We are not concerned about ourselves, only the Father, only in Him. Water from right to the left invades the boot. They purify and release interfering energies. Of the 2 seas, only one. The tides now offer themselves capriciously according to the eye of man. Desolated and confused, they will make the wrong choice. South will now blind the 1/8 man. The Nakash Shirin is Ono. The moon behaves out of character. They check their calculations and nothing can be out of place. The cosmos, they believe, must respond to their vague rules and selfishness. Again, the tides are extreme. The statue will water up to her leg. Nakash Shirin, elevated essence representatives of the Christ consciousness, which include thousands consciousness and entitles, united around the task of evacuation and salvation on the planet. They work with the high frequency energy onozone, through which they transmute and replenish and elevate the entire planetary earthly life. No sandals should be worn. The measures should be extreme as indicated. Let him hide his gluttony, but let his speech be efficient. They remind him that it has always been so. Do not think to disobey, for the first thing is to save the house. It is more and more difficult to remove the filth from the white suit. Another one who must leave it. Schism again. The bases are shaking. Lights in the skies give signs of liberation. Many will behold them, but few will make them their breath and destiny. Only by rough corridors will communication be facilitated. The fields will have blade outs and Spike will look like a cartoon. They stole the essence of their belongings and sold it off to the ferocious animal eaters, compulsive birth of the seed from which they have stolen its balance. The light was not defeated. They do not know yet. Each seed is only light. Many will support this great lie. It will be presented as the solution. Low cost, low impact. It will replace and optimize. It is not yet time for your display. Wait more than one night, and you will understand. When it comes up, look south, and you will see its ghoulish downside. There will be no time for its universal imposition, but the stretch that will advance will leave incurable bleedings. From the kangaroo's den, the crabs run. Frogs out of control, more than yesterday out of control. The annihilated ones are reborn as a plague, and even in the squares of the Big South Island they fight in despair battle. Childless dingoes sleep so as not to wake up. The ships will arrive at the Congress in Buenos Aires. Misery and stench. The waters were busy sweeping up what did not seem expendable. Pigeons and seagulls are intermingled in that hour. New York the same. Montevideo the same. New coals are drawn before everything is finished. Chile is awakening and climbing the Andean mountain range to see the unpredictable. Publications with and without truth will be published. Life puts to the test those who cannot read within themselves the truth of the moment. Sparrows will chirp the news without being heard. So little do they appreciate the simplicity that their song to them is inaudible or despicable. Addicts to the emotionalism run wild with their drugs. Distributors perfect themselves in the imperfect and satisfy them tremendously. In the South, the subtle song of the birds goes unnoticed. The new minstrels reinvented singing, music, and poetry. They commit their lives to the truth and their gifts to the essentials. They pass filters without being filtered and stock up the flickering flames. Without habit, they wear habit and ordinate to any order their hair. From the land of the tupils comes clamor. The sea did not ask for permission or give any warning. The Neverlands is flooded, and the illusion of being what one is not is dissolved in salty water. The roof of the palace is used for the gaviota in her clutch. Three of the North Americans freeze for the second time. The 1 million victims obnubilate to the one who lives in his White House. The jackals take advantage and steal 2 boxes without keys. Only one is killed, but the boxes are not recovered until 2 years later. Orleans shaken more than wet break. In this hour the confusion and the lie will be partners. Those do not travel anymore. Most of them died, while the minority lost their way. The subtle plots they fed with their fights are numbed. They dissolve. The energy no longer fights its old way. The winds roar, crying out for understanding that does not exist. The shallows and winds see their embrace broken. O Aurora, your skin is bristling with false temples and false templars. And yet, under it, your will in purity does not wither nor maculate. Almost ignored, your emissaries will pass unnoticed before the ostination of the deviated ones. Some meek as doves will be, the others shadows of vultures, whose stench then will dissimulate among incense of false chants. O Aurora, the name of the saint, as a dressing seasoning, will be applied in an infamous way. The light orders the winds and orients in them the design of the will. The preparations cease, and from that hour until the end, only light the winds will be. It crosses the turtle 2 plains and stops at the region's pools. It digs up the ground and sinks halfway down. Her armor makes her safe this second time. As she pokes her head out, Her eyes reflect a red and icy world. From the east, the opaque cloud looms. The hitmen are trotting because they do not want to be late. They do not hide. They think nothing can stop them. They float themselves distracted without seeing the angel, the sword separating them into six without leaving its sheath. They still boast about the heads, with no trunk where to adjust their insanity. The bridge is shot down. Both sides are torn apart in mourning. Then think about what happened. The bear managed to split the eagle into two. She seems indivisible, but the bear knew better. Nucleus and no nucleus argued. The bear steals fruit from the forest to the north of the eagle. The conflict escalates, and after the secret meeting, nothing happens. The price and cost will be paid by those who have the least. They will be told from Upper Europe that they will not be able to do anything. They are left to do their own. There, the other Europe. They will no longer be able to dream the dream of equality. For the third time, they have deceived themselves, and this will be the last time. From here to the end of the little that remains, they will bleed to death alone. Opaque the sun for its fifth day. At the observatory in the Chilean mountain they will shudder. Only the torn eagle will share what he has observed. They will not know among the associates how to present the situation. They will not agree. They decide not to say anything and wait for what might happen without raising the alarm. They will seek to take precautions for their own convenience and will leave the world on its own devices. The wise men of the south reinforce their stillness. They have known this for 3 cycles. His voice was not heard. Drownings begin to be experienced, and everything gives way to disconnection. In the shadows, the blind grope. This new light is not given to all, but a few. What is happening in Asia? Ask the North, knowing only their cynics the answer. They send the package with apparent presents. Pandora again. You hear them say, count us in. The India president will make a brilliant speech, but his help will never be. The bear will be there, having incurred no expense for such a feast. They will give their speeches in a cloak and be heard everywhere. They will plunder without being seen, and the blame will fall on the Asians. With holes in the soles and gleaming their useless jackets. They will keep trying to hide the bodies sitting and worm-eaten at the table. They will waste what little energy of always for those few who are no longer and will no longer be. The purple will not give away until the rooster breaks. Then, shrewdly, he will ask for forgiveness again late. The new Python's decadent melodies. Erratic their messages disorient rather than orient. Unified communications gurus. Intoxicated, vampirize their plasma from their idiotic. The smile from their garbage cans, speaking with the solemnity of that which they do not know, and for a long cycle they will not know. They are testers of consciousness that do not give truth in that unhealthy hour. From the center of the Atlantic, 2 lights first and 4 lights later. They form before the glaze eyes of humanity a sign of the times. The heavens open for 15 minutes, and from them the Lords of Light descend from the throne. They fill their throne in the reverent waters, and they extend the consciousness of their will to the world. Many will bow down in that hour. Others, the most, will be sickened by fear. The sign for all is, but its effects will be defined by venerable fate. Intoxicated by poisonous medicine, they die to secure the trio's business. Their certificate is exhibited by the north and the effects realized in the south. Sterile all deformed millions become shadows. Everything is repeated but cannot be avoided. They go one step forward with their lies and 1,000 steps back with the truth. The mount changes its name and color. They celebrate the most ignorant and ignored. They celebrate, and their celebration condemns them to more weakness in the face of deception. Organizations become the largest nests of snakes, fewer transparent as glass, and fluid as water. They accumulate strength, power, and wealth. They corrupt those who denounce and expose those who corrupt. They engage in games where betrayal directs and stipulates the limits. However, from among them will emerge the leader of those times, woman and consciousness open to transformation. Her broad shoulders will endure without fainting. They will seek to bring her down from below. One day she will not be found. In the retreats of the south, she will continue her service to humanity and the planet. Wrapped in silence and stillness, the world will know nothing of her. The bank is going to bankrupt with a bang. This time diffuse its lead in a country that dances and plays, emerging before in an emergency for that hour. The bad partner did not share what was due and activated the silent blast. It drags the south, and then its effects goes twice around the world. Terrible payment is what he will offer to his rescue. Pay with his own and also with somebody else's money. The third will be this war. Third and the last. Everyone is afraid. Those who play at dominating it know it will not be the one before the last. There will not be another one. Unhealthy people provoke it, and unhealthy people fear it to death. They gathered the keys together and decided at the same time to oppress the irreversible. Once done, nothing will be the same. The hierarchies of the will suspend temporarily and modify space. Where there were no mergings, they conformed. Where only little, the infinite. In Him, everything is order and balance. Like beads on a necklace, separate and at the right distance, so the Lord of the North maneuvers, giving time for suspicions to dissipate, giving space for the stocking to bear fruit. In this, he invests everything, and from this comes his repugnant profit. In the land of palms, the mountains no longer exist. It was sold to the lowest bidder. Its people no longer speak. His children no longer laugh. The stain abounds and eats away at their entrails. In return, they were given illusions that they did not accept back. Now, in that hour, their daughters prostitute themselves, greatly ill of impotence and abandonment. Advertising sells them. From everywhere they travel to fornicate with them. They are rewarding an executioner again. Smiling, he goes to his mansion. He ties up his short red hair. When his speech is not yet forgotten, he will be exhibited as a murderer. He will rehearse the arguments that others have found. He will point out with his long fingers the work of his patriotism. Convincing to the majority, he will not fully explain. Sneakily in that hour, he will arrange the death of 5. By that time, he will be discovered and executed by the law of man. Big camp at the eastern train station. They crowded and suffocated hopelessly. The news spread quickly, and only the first ones were able to make their departure in time. History never repeats itself, but the similarities do. Memories of the past overwhelm them, making them sick. Fearful, they choose to fight without knowing what the fight is about. As they hesitate, they are suddenly annihilated. The crowd cynically demands explanation. The executors will cynically give them one. In that hour, the crescent camel will accelerate its pace by taking them by night and by surprise. For the eagle, it will be all he needed to attack. History never repeats itself, but the similarities do. The purple one, always a cannibal, kills for his partner Monte. With tooth and nail, he comes to his defense as he defends his own interest with it. A caravan of politicians. They come out with their masks to do the hypnotic tour. This time they have agreed to be even more ruthless. The World Party, the infernal creation of the Pale, drags imbecile crowds with its faded promise. The three countries of the bloc are preparing to showcase the new international democratic coalition. They will brag as two crops are dug up in their own backyards by their hungry dogs. The wingless voucher pounds in. The letters on each of its sides are non-vowels or consonants. From the rapacious eyes, the ray of the hate comes out. From the north, bells are ringing. The voucher hides in an eyebrow that kisses the mountain. Flames seek it with inflamed obsession. Practice in that hour your silent consciousness, preserved from the plague. Give yourself to the encounter with prayer. Before those hours, they asked the prophet 1,000 questions. 1,002 are answered. His answers are of little use, but they could serve many. 7 more are revealed in prophecy. 7,000 questions are addressed to them. 7,014 will be answered. 8,016 are the blood of wisdom. Without seeking to stain yourself with it, you will stain yourself with it, and you will certainly quench your thirst. Two million barefoot are now in this hour. Death their march moves away in the west and reappears in the east. At each trench of the spiral, they transform the stone into a mud and into a wall de mortar. From its high hands a faceless figure and viscous honey. With sticks smeared on the snail slime, torches and teas. 2 of the fate uniforms are left, stunned by the burning acid mist. The wall is safe for the barefoot, but for them it is like a trap. They open their buttons and air out their agitated breasts before the curly wolf reserved them for his supply. The Camel King does not fall until this hour comes. His tents are on fire. His harm's leprousness now cloud the mirror of the oasis. The bitumen that protected them is now extinct. Flame of agony, for every farewell is reserved for him. He seeks to jump into the sea as not to be robbed of his reserves. The eagle does not allow him to enter his territory. He climbs not to know who he is. Eight of the Camelwak, lineage line walk with the men, pilgrim warriors, mirrors of love. Their consciousness shine. They open gaps in the darkness. The light pulsates and leads through them. Like stone, they use the shadows to sharpen their swords. Camelwak means fighter. Fighters are one of the 7 monadous lines existing on the planet. Along the Ecuador and 6 days, the brothers will give signs and signals. Then, in fact, 2 islands will appear in omens. First, the sleeper in the boat will yawn, and then he'll wake up thundering his last tune, poetry that will tell of the new times the story. A few in reference will offer the balm of gratitude freely. In those times, pregnancy and childbirth will be at risk above all. Food like that of the rattlesnake, waters like stinking urinals. Pain will be for many to breathe on almost the entire wounded planet. The skin will crack again and again until it can no longer be restored. Like mummies, they will go and be. Partner tree enlarges the slaughterhouse lap. The purple one does its business inside and outside the temple, and in that hour more than ever. The mountain kills with impunity, pretending to feed the hungry. The lady in purple is bloody peasant and forces the child to swallow the soya. Her lab partner keeps inventing new ways to protect the disease, and from the mount, all the gold is placed for it. They are still blind, feeding their children like calves. The phosphorus steals precious light from their minds. The match will not be to light fires, but to steal lives. Disguise are refined and lies strive. The plan is to reduce men and increase wealth. Plastic and silicones is the child's food. His diseased organs are rotting away. Those of the science of good have already been given birth for that hour, but they are hunted like witches by the new Inquisition. The Mount, the witch of the pharmacopoeia, and the purple. Cook them in a cauldrons of mercenary yellows, and hunt the slices of their dignity in new of all through the unified system of communications. Large food distribution chains should have signs that warn danger. The slogan will win over the street, and the few lucid ones still standing will be like an injection of enlightenment. The graffiti will not be late in coming, and the fever of knowing the truth will have taken hold. The canes refining their methods will again do the trick of disappearing the brave. History does not repeat itself, but the similarities do. They will be thirsty in a torn forest region. At night, they will go out and find a place to quench it. The alarms alert the canes, and the massacre cannot be hidden. Whoever does not have to pay will not have in that hour to drink. The president will lament the chain recklessness of the thirsty violators of the protocol. Vein with unknown mineral brings war to the territory of the shepherds. Their blood will be worthless. The predator's ambition is even greater than in the old days. They spread out their clothes, as it says in the scripture. From the Andes Sagrado, a black bullet she bleed. Its origin is the tool that will wreak havoc. They will believe in him, just as the wizard in the orange robe did in the past. He will speak to seduce immature hearts, touching the illusions without any shame. He will signal in times where they're covered. The wise ones know that nothing offered by the form will be trustworthy anymore. Many are those who will not be able to sustain themselves in their choice. Like blades, they cut for thousands the breaches of the rescue. The elder who lent his voice for this hour will be departed. They sought to conceal his death, to divert attention, to shroud the complicity of what happens in mystery, thus building a legend to suit their spiritual ambitions. He simply lived the rescue. His final days were confusing and contradictory. Defeated, he accepted that which would place him before his genuine brothers in disagreement. The yellows capitulate in their struggle. They present weak arguments, but their riches make them solid. They poison the people with false doctrines, and now they hypnotize them with what they used to preach as despicable. The steep breaks into three, and the wall will have nothing but enemies on both sides. The ego makes a rat's nest in Paraguay. The secret could not have been kept for more than 30 years. The water of the White River darkens. The katoon tunic cries out to his lady, blinded by the ego's soldiers. An outcast is chosen by the hierarchy. They bath him, perfume him, and present him as a prince. The deception is perfect, and for 3 years it's paid off to the builder of the war. At 12 o'clock in the 4th year, the spell is broken. His shoe is made of lead, and his blood is bright red. By that time in the Pacific, an island will no longer be. The lobe is extensive and crosses the Red Sea. On both sides, the cloak are pressing. Through the thick bamboo runs the black flagellum and breaks. Red and Black Sea it will be now. The ancient sons of the shepherds wept. From the center of the horn, the rhinoceros seeks to make things worse. The pyramid offers the eagle its apex to avoid the cruel goring, and by claw must die its freedom. Suffocated it is in the burning sand. Hair-faced vehicles cross the desert. They hide without being seen on the sensors. Quadrants are drawn from the heights. Now the eye will be able to see everything more impudently. There is nothing that can be overlooked in that hour. Everything is labeled and controlled. The eye archive is as big as his ambition to control. The sun manifests at different aspects of its energy. It intensifies. The eye collapses. It does not find out what is going on. Everything was under control and now nothing is left. His fire is empty. The sun cannot do that. It cannot. There must be some mistake. The eye cannot justify to its master, and it's slaughtered by squawking to the delight of its henchmen. In Brussels, the feast is served and the vampires of the hour shake hands. Smiling at the world, they claim to have found a low-cost solution. They will not have eaten the dessert when the worst of the blood is being spilled for their command. The Mediterranean embraces the Atlantic, and two waves are its arms. A new face for a dying Europe. The Pyrenees, Iceland in the middle of the new waters, at the goat of the two territories, balances but does not fall. The beauty dazzles millions, and everyone speaks to her in their own language. Ask in the name of the three partners, and get in 1 year what was not obtained in decades. Discovered, she will be immolated in Purple Square. Holy, the poor of consciousness will say. They pull the fabric and inaugurate. Neither machine nor device is. Everyone is silent. Vertigo and fear. Strikes the division manufacturer with its anti-creation of the plausible. The island limits, but it will not be enough. From Israel comes relief. Downcast from afar, it will be disintegrated. Steel bases are installed in Malaysia. 30 islands exist no longer. By the wind they travel, and mute they appear at the end of the exhibition. A pencil writes in the stormy skies the letter of the cold. It will only last long enough for the hawk to observe it. The carpenter does not work for that hour. He is getting closer to the swamp lords. No sloppy trails set the trap in the north and for the northerners. Out of respect, they cut off the leg of every rabbit they trap. From Canada, they do not arrive in time to make use of the law. Some jump to Alaska, and many more end up there. The Brotherhood sets the heavens on fire with sacred fire. The flame has never had so much scum to burn. Intoxicated by love, those who choose themselves see their wounds healed by the will. Renewed their energies, they are ready to remain and persist until the unique will designates it. The pilgrims are getting stronger. There are even fewer of them in that hour, but their energy is higher. Atlas has placed on their shoulders the world he cannot longer bear. They, impassive, without suffering, in gratitude serve him. The south is the fortress that the forces cannot expel. There, liberotatory it is. In this hour, you see how the managers perversely hide both lies and truth. Both are inappropriate for them. The art of concealment will prevail over all things. In the center of the science, only shadows. By then, you will have only your inner guidance and the Brotherhood of the Light. By then, you will be recipients of the law of abundance. In the same meridian emerges the unprecedented. In the same parallel, in the same way. The veil is lifted, and there will be no adequate explanation. They will no longer be able to hide the truth or the lie. Everything rushes in that hour. Six sterile Congo will offer surprises to the world. Your sweet retinal face will give birth to light and harmony. Before dissolving into the new age, you will bleed. You will bleed. From your blood, a warrior of peace. Remember in this hour that it always was. Changes course are only out of ambition and selfishness. Nothing you pretend to do will be respected. The bear will betray the crescent allies, as the eagle will distill new poison for the dancing lands. The moon will give 3 signals to all, and 2 to the south without being seen. The stairs will have 12 steps in that hour, and they will need only 10 to reach the higher places of the west. O Ande, the sacred voice calls the pilgrim, and it will be service of the sacred service, or nothing at all. What the pharmacists pursues, it's achieved in Mexico. The borders are no longer useful. The north and the south, it extends and eats away. Bucked down without swamp and drowned without suffocation. A call for solidarity that it's not to distract the avenger, to hunt him down. New species without gender burst in and makes everything ill. Mouth without this name denies responsibility. The night before and the night after, they have unleashed the rampant contagion. He strikes the palace of injustice and knocks down the knocked down one even more. From India, a simple small voice is raised. Its impact makes the 3 legs of the lectern tremble. They fall to the ground and mingle, spreading suspicion on the 3 powers. Penelope needs, but she does not need anymore. The time of decision is approaching. Argentina, oh Argentina, unique for the 2 of you. You will shake up the world and see yourself broken and reunited. The wise in your energy stand on high. You are a grail filled with barren land offered. Your occupants ignore the secret of your valley, of your sea, of your lagoon. They are blind to the new sun and deaf to the secrets of the wind. birds from the Ande travel to the sun. They migrate so the changes may blossom. Their eggs hatch at dawn. The little pigeons will be for sustained food, which from the south and only from the south are and will be. From the Harpy plateau still in constructing serpent, joined for the third night in Talampaya. Talampaya, National Reserve Park in Argentina. Solidarity and consciousness will have extended for that hour to the ravens, where at their bottom lie the disposed. Without tools other than life itself and fed by the hidden, the reverence will come and proclaim again and again, again and again, again and again. They will go out of measure, and against the blades they will tear the muscle. A white dog and a wolf team up for the hour to come. Together they cheat for 5 months, and if not discovered, 5 years it will be. For Bolivia, it will be bad business. For Chile, death. The land of dancers tears them apart and mortgages them. Spit and mud. Remember, this is how it's going to happen again. Do not become anything, that nothing is what you should understand, as none of what is will be comprehensible to you. Only that which your silence granted and outside it, nothing will serve you more. Before you lie down on the ground, strike the thorn of pride from the ground. Let the pieces of it be covered only by sand, blown by the wind. In Chile's Patagonia and Mexico, with the little in between, the impact is devastating. A large area is excluded and the noise is unnoticeable. The doctors of deception give their official report. Germany and Belgium claim the beer will party without incurring any expense. In Deep Bermuda, the door opens and the past bursts in. On the 3 keys, they will drown out the chance to wash the blind man's eyes. It is not Atlantis or Lemuria. The unknown is revealed. Their forces will not be able to sustain that until the next year. Then, the astonishment of the world. Everything has to roll before the closing. Everything. Australia, Canada, Russia, Argentina, Germany, Spain, Uruguay, Sweden. There will be the boxes to see the work of that hour. 3 intense months of open skies. Then Panama, the heavens and the world pouring out His will. Thousands of demonstrations will shatter the perversity of concealment. The united communication system will be flooded of testimonies of the light. Without habit, only with the words like desert lion. He gazed with the vivacity of the lightning. They will set traps for him. but only in that hour of the hour will they lay their hands on him. Those who came until that hour are returned in transformation. The world walks from the south, but from within its essence proceeds. Pilgrims from Erex immerse themselves in the matrix of matter. They perform their service there. They provide what otherwise will not be. They walk with the men of the service, instructing, uplifting, transmuting. They link the worlds so that by communion they are one. They guide humanity through the ways of the sun. Urauma, Mianuma, they give their blessing to the pilgrim of the south. Beyond their nationalities, languages, place of residence, it is the south that has changed its north. The signs in them shine forth. Epantikuma and the light operate. In the valley, one lives an hour of transformation. The seal has been tightened, and only those who are signed by him in recognition of the law must enter. They are crowded together, you know this, and their cramps offer only stench. Epantikuma, Lutan, Akenoak, Mainkenak, Sanaikalis, Simbria, Unsik. In the following texts are sounds with high vibrational power associated with the hierarchical energies. The Rampton Indian tiger takes on a South American jaguar. They bleed and they bleed out, both greedy for the same slice. The eagle, powerless as before, uses his cunning to pillage. The mediation is held without knowing what bad grass it will sow. 2 first and 6 later will be victims of an attack for this invalid cause. Worse than the poor saint of years ago, who sought Argento to Monte covered with his sheepskin, this purple one of the given hour will overcome every evil action as if it was truly Antichrist's. His words will not be able to hide the opacity of his glaze. As for the Protestant denunciation, will only come in half. Silently drowned in blood will be. One after another, astonishment that will ail in this hour. From the darkness of the Holy One reappears what was supposed to be non-existent before and now. Cyclops who see nothing but flat and nearby will collapse from inflexibility. Their power, in truth, by such means will be poured out. With the name of flower and the surname animal, you will differentiate it. It will take over the north and speed up the collapse. His decisions are those of the psychic forces then. His voice subjugated and seduced millions who do not remember Adolphus. They will count 500 and draw the perimeter. Into the darkness, out of the chaos. By that time you will be silent in the vigorous south. That which you see furrowing the skies from east to west, on that night your reverence must not have. Be vigilant. Phalanges of New Age are disposed in the light. Your voice whisper in the valley, Sikuma, Sikuma, Sikuma. Some of you will be guides. One of them will be a music maker yesterday and then a consciousness builder. He will not in that hour be of royalty name. From Ansenusa the light transports the essence of the adobe to the kingdoms. How many are hiding? 2, 5, then 10. They will not show up. Furious, the suffering and hungry masses will be decimated to their control. Thus 3 times. By the 4th time, the ego will be eaten half raw. They will call him shallow, and his doublers will entertain the imbeciles by the system and method. From the land of the plains, a sparrow hawk will rise, and in a fight will be his action. Between its firm claws it will carry olive trees to the south. The swallow will not be able to resist his piercing eyes. What will result will be of karma. They will leave room for the man of the center. His intentions will not be known. Germania, the one you could have been and were not. Germania, with your black forest and blacker protagonists. The octopus does not wake up. He was never asleep. His die was hiding him. Like chameleon, he cheats. Again the pews crack, and the Teutonic cry is drowned in blood. Travels from Egypt, but from beyond the first sand it is. He prays without prayer, and prepares his deserted life for a holocauster. 3 virgins who remind it will stand in the way. 2 will die, and the 3rd will be left blind in their testimonies. The Andes speak from the abyss. Rivers twist in their song roars. The sources of Amazonia overflow in a 3rd year, and then parts of the forest will die from dryness. Tullio will go ahead of him, and out of shame, the politicians will once again play their game. The jaguars will be stiff in the darkness of the neighborhood. The bird will knock 10 times on the glass. It will seek the answer to that which is not yet available to it. Its beak will bleed. Blood that has already been shed will stain the bird again and again. When the sun goes out for its end, of down will be the bird's sign, and of pain its feelings. Phoenix, Phoenix, Phoenix. 3 times the sound will call upon him, and from the mirror his feather will rise. For the hour when the hand towards you is extended, be still, and hands shall not accuse you. If words were involved, like deaf men in that hour. If by lights you are offered signs, only as blind men you will remain. Do you understand what the instructions offers you? Your senses will betray you in simplicity with dilutant forces. We will give you signs that they will disregard. Be open to the known, and you will be led by us in the light of the Father. The low and the high are facing each other. Sirens all over the orb sound and hurt the silent. Blind serpents wrinkle in the mud of tar and blood. The sources of the shade are set on fire, and those who reside in the countryside of the middle sun intensify their own fire. Joan, Joan, without your ability to offer, nothing of that word has any value. Just as your emotions as scavenger food clog up your precious arteries, so you occlude pristine streams of water by flooding with perverse dams that should not be drowned and submerged. But those concrete traps will be shattered to the sound of the vigorous trumpets. The sounds of the end will disintegrate them, and those numb currents liberated and obedience to the unique. Roaring will cleanse the impiety of the blunder. It is the will and the intelligence that is to be so in a fulfillment of the indispensable synthesis of love and wisdom. Disguised and hidden by the hypocrites, infanticide continues to be exercised and increased in that hour. The plan of regulation and selection becomes more sinister. Like lichens, they drink the blood they spill to reinforce their vampire system. Their eyes show the veil that the distant spiritual light cannot pierce. For that time, from the east of the north, the tribes will resume the cycle true to be extinct. The sight of Europe will weaken, and darkness will seem eternal until the 4th day. The bad eagle will fall fighting the harpy eagle of the jungles. He will break his arm between the Americans, and Panama will burst into flames. Like the one who wore the beret, the one who will not wear it will emerge. His voice will tear away the pieces of what has already been torn. From his glaze and alert will emerge the keys to one of the stages that the signal will be. Out of every 100, only 3 will follow their footsteps, being that only in the middle will be the beginning start, and in the end, the middle will be. Kings dedicated to corruption will be denounced, because that hour will be the hour of denunciation. They will not be able to be made invisible by the system that covered them up until now. The scandal will be capitalized on to carry out strong maneuvers of universal prejudice. Everything will be used to divert attention. If it cannot be avoided, it will be then functional, like the squid making use of its link. Infants and decoys, strategies that will further densify the psychic layer. The lords of annihilation will have prevailed, and it will seem like the end. From that hour on, the collapse of the seasons will still be a long way off. Out of 4, there will be 2, and no one will be able to find the answer and work correctly. The shadows will move left and right. There will be no center either, only down and up. In that decade, the look will become blurred and the distortions will gain light. Like cyclopean giants, they will frighten those who should give sacred battle for the light. Their minds' saturated consciousness sword will wait for the water of redemption. Some will emerge free from the corrosive rust. Those which will abound in temperance and only lulled to sleep by the sirens will find themselves until that hour. Bible, Bible, how much this grace will be sustained in His name. Traces of blood saturated the desert and what is outside of it. Like sources of fire, they feed the scavenger who waits for more opportunities. The bird of the north nests in the south by this time. It's only one egg. 2 chicks will hatch. One will blind the other to take all for its own benefit. Lease, lease, lease. From 3 times the purity in you and from you. Oh, lease, how much stain on the precious earth. From the great diva the flame rises from you, held cosmic flower in a swamp of materiality. Lease, may your light illuminate the bird that will not be understood. Transhuman, but not pilgrim, as was told to you, and yet you still do not understand, you who steal from the stolen. The sword that sharpens itself in the ether has come to offer you a reparation. Of redemption, only liberation, and rescue offers you consciousness. Turn to the south that is not in sight. Bow and pray. The messengers visit you in the fire. Iced mantle unravels and reveals the dormant. His eyes offer a view of the kingdom. His eyelids from dim lights open the sun's bloom. Think, and you lose his breath. A Kenuak, and the light his synthesis will be externalized. You are blind, and in that hour and before it. You do not see in earthly water the intelligent life that governs everything. You only dive and weaken with your poor understanding. Liquid, solid, and gaseous are the obvious and superficial states of water. Before the end of the cycle, a fourth state will begin to be perceived, but not all of it will be offered to you. Your blind science, obtuse and slanderous, will delve into the search of understanding, and only an indifferent approach will be experienced. Water manifests itself through 7 states. Only when the sun of the future illuminates without dark and karmic clouds, your humanity will simultaneously have the information and experience of the new knowledge. Water will show its face, and man will reverve the essence in it. The totality of its condition will be revealed to you. Open up to make a way in your consciousness for the harmonizing and unstoppable activity that underlines it. The higher will has in water powerful tools. Your misunderstanding of this entity and the misuse of some of its aspects have made an unavoidable repository of certain purifiable and purifying characteristics. Before the apex, you will not believe what water will reveal. The immense power will strike hard at the aberration you still call science. From Central Asia, the plague, shadow of the shadows, cold fever. Gaza will burn forever. The fuse will be so that everything is consumed. There will be no way out, and they will not look for it. Written over the written, 1988 times written. Gaza shall be the beginning, and the end will be. Your blood shall flow from across the sea. Confounding, but it shall be yours. O Afghan, 1,000 times they will doubt before thinking of you. You have made them a victim of deception without any deception. O Afghan, the heavens give color to your eyes, and the traitors shadows to your heart. The lab executioner releases 3 demons. The polyhedron and the white den surrender to the celebration. The strength overflows them like wolves before the carrion. Karma prepares special attention for them. They will not count 2 more years without their red beads spilling and the entrails of their youngest being a vulture's feet in the sun. Three discs are appearing in this hour. Solar time this hour is. The hierarchy of revelation offers presence. The horn will sound 12 times. In the octave universe, one will be made. Only the spike will give a sign. Life of life. Light of light. Ether unites that which lies apart. Its ray in you will be burned like a flame. You will burn in forgetfulness of that which you will not longer be. O one ship, in you, and only in you, in him let us accomplish all. O Samana, light of light, blessed are those who in you now are. Before the further south, another south rescue will live, purified by earthquakes of all scale. The lake will empty out overnight. Children will walk 6 days, and their feet will baptize the freed earth with blood. Already revealed, the aid from the agonizing ice of the South Arctic will enhance the court. Closer times are this. The aid will make its way from the white silence. Ansenusa announced it. Kasenuma will be Ansenusa's voice, showing it to the outside world. In Vostok, the mirror's gate. You see those who weren't contradicted themselves. They are like dogs that have not stopped eating, so as to be left glutted with the result of their own cunning. Plunderers who deceptively announce the thief in order to take what will be left unattended. Where the Ande to the south kisses the two oceans, the new energy will also have revelation to offer. The network is becoming more and more fulfilled. It will support the beginning of the end. From the ether, the divine, as a cascade of light. O pilgrim, announce to the world with your life and silence that in you are hidden no longer. O pilgrim, light of the hierarchy, you are in the Father. The law is in you. Purity and wisdom, Erx and Liz. Assist the pain and ignorance. Rescue the purity. Liz leads you to it. You are ready to move towards the wisdom of purity. Give yourself so that the miracle is consumed in your life. Simplicity, simplicity. Without it, nothing is and ever will be. Your instruction must be safeguarded in simple living. Everything that you possess and treasure, and that cannot find acceptance in simplicity, is useless for you and the world. They are now from the Pyrenees, searching for the trail of the southern pilgrim. His back is light, and only consciousness of the unique possesses and carries. In white villages, he repairs his strength, and Liz fills his heart with gift. From far and near, the Brotherhood holds the pulse of his life. The light of the valley is not set for him. The sun that shines on him knows no horizon to hide him. The aurora breaks the pact between darkness and matter. Of red waters, Mediterranean will be stained. In that hour, you will live in fate, or you will not live. Infinitely you are are and you will be given birth by the cosmic matrix. You die and you born continuously. Infinite birth is everything. Mayin Kenak assists you, nourishing your lives with those possibilities that the flame, by the unique, harden to the extent of your possibilities. O great Diva, O Mayin Kenak, creator of purity, liberator of the oppressed, your energy builds the juice that the flower of bliss will release as essence of redemption. O Mayin Kenak, to you are coming those who will offer themselves to be rebuilt, those who have chosen themselves for the rebirth of purity. O Iberica, you offer the world to shed its 50 garments, to anoint itself to the shine with unprecedented purity. Your Devic hierarchies build the luminous foundations of the new cycle. They build the pure, and in their breath life and light radiate. Such a useless burden has to be dissolved. The deviation of devotion will return as a temple that for its foundation will be removed. Drowned the earth under a dense mantle of liberation will know, and you, who lowered your eyes when it was still time, like a peak clay will pulse life. The merchants of the false spirit disrupt the order that seeks to manifest itself. They know the truth, but are not open to its expression of profound and simple wisdom. They are unavoidably ambitious, and far from the light, they deposit their hidden desires. Millions will have succumbed to keep attuned with the deception. Only a few, with inspired insight, will convert fallacies into subtle development of their intuition. They, by observing reality, like candles must illuminate what must be revealed. From their words, the sons of the archons will be born. The oceans watch the pilgrims cross. For them, everything is threshing and essential. Borders dissolve into the light without being able to resist the assistance of the necessity. Those who respond carry the flame that encourages and illuminates them. They feed on it and offer themselves to it, like wood. His word is the crackling of the fires, and in the wind's word. They transform the languages, breaking the capsules of deception and misappropriation. Mayin Kenak guides them to the rescue of purity. Lis, Mayin Kenak, Lis, Lis, Mayin Kenak, Shanaika, Lis. Epantikuma instructs, and the monadas glow. His light assists the crossing of the portals of Erx. The initiator of consciousness, master of the laws of energy, O Epantikuma, myriads of you, like infinite suns, nourish the human universe of this new cycle. Where that which is evident is perceived, in this other hour, nothing genuine for you will be available. Look where no trace is found, where no trace of a sign is given. That is the road that has not been traveled. The more advanced the transition of light is, the more absence of any trace will offer you of the truth, sign and signal. With a crash in this new hour, 3 masks will fall at the opera. Drama and comedy will mix their vinegary blood. The genius of La Mancha, with his mean voice, will inevitably bleed out exposed. Before rendering an explanation to those who seek him, his consciousness descends to redeem and compensate old debts. Before the synthesis, a new gender. It will challenge everything with strong impact. It will use ignorance so that the heads can row without being separate from the bodies. Sinister magicians despair in that hour. They do not accept not being parents of the creature. Purple has no words to broadcast. She summons her partners in secret, and from the ultimatum, the unspeakable is born, the unthinkable. There is a tribunal held, then another, finally a third. Then the killers come out on a hunt for the condemned. The blood of America and Afghanistan will be the Red Wolf's drink. False prayers of the purple will be publicized, being that for her the kiss of death departed for the executed. After the 5th moon, followed by silvery nights, the Cimbria revealed will lead part of the remnant into the still untouched mountains. Among them, 12 transmuted ones go on pilgrimage in silence and without making themselves known. Only after reaching their destination, from their mouths, eyes, and hands, will the energy be supplied. Enabled by the law, they will draw the limits and the retreat will be expressed. For some open, for others, and many will be this, closed. The end echoes those who walk with the wise and the wise themselves. After the 5th moon, this is how it will be. Before it, only the key bearers, 2 by 2 and 8 by 8. Shimbria. The path opens up the unique life for you in that hour. Before that time, only those who answered will know of you. Those who do not need to appear in the swamp before being lotus recognize you, imbibing from you light and wisdom. One of the wise men walks the mind worlds of the surface. He is a member of the hierarchy, but will be denied by many and accepted by few. Incarnated, they will believe they have destroyed him. But from the Shimbria, the light will recompose him 5 times and then 3 times. You will never see beyond what is granted to you. Do not forget this. Thus, you will be able to verify, in the experience of humility, that your limits only partially are of your concern and government. The Atlantic kisses the Ande. Terror and madness spread unrestrained. The time for the other hour is not yet here, but it is ahead of us in this kiss. The impossible was already possible, and the possible forces. Only 3 days and 4 nights, and that is how it was. South America narrows its waist, and from the immersion the purification results like grace. When in the confines of the system they glimpse that mass approaching, of terror they will be inundated. The insane will go out to prophesy that the end is that. Halfway through it, it will dissolve. Without explanations to the world, the compulsive will remain. 3 times before the genuine hour arrives, it will repeat itself. Stupid arguments will be made. But one of the 4th of the shepherd and the wolf should remember, but they will not. Purple, with her friends, is funding the war of extremes. The news will be received as a party. They will wait for the partridge to sing before devouring it. With their lips still bloody, they will deny any participation. As a sad Indian melody, the Exodus will be lived as a procession. The seed of fury will have been thrown into the most fertile of valleys. It will sprout. A wolf with a wild chest and blue fur. Look of illusions and artifice. He will not be recognized. They will open their doors when he shows up. He will enter and devour everything up to his marrow. Transgenesis of transgenesis, a drop of his salvia withers the soul and sterilizes it. Nothing was worse before him, nor will it be after him. They will guard the doors, but then they will get in through the rooftops. They will be armed even more by their phobic attitude, but they will be defeated by means long forgotten. They will wield their money before those who will not care for it. Enchantment they will seek to offer their ears, but only to the unique. Those others will listen. They will go mad, but they will believe that madness is foreign to them. Argentina from Fukushima will bring the memory to the world. China too. Without knowing the destiny to which, between them, he will first deliver in a falconry action to his bird. They will be able to prevent the hood from being removed. You must keep the thin gauntlet so that the strong claw will no longer shed blood, but will become a sacrilegious lesson. Samana, O Samana, today and tomorrow, as it was yesterday, your apostles will not be accepted, but only by few. There is the one who was Johann, speaking to the world of your light. His methods have varied, but so has his capacity to receive and attune into your energy and consciousness. He, your Unsik, offers in his experience the path towards the silence of the ultimate regulation. Purple is afraid. Her house is under threat. First, she disbelieves. Then, the evidence is offered and sold to her. The purple panics and then hires 3 assassins. They will kill in her holy name. Tens of thousands, innocents of all intentions, will lie executed as a precaution. Her associates smile. They will take advantage. After 14 months, the wind will give them pests, in that hour from 3 different strains. The second of the purple will see the truth in it, but he will be silent, so as not to be pointed out. Hyena of the smelly smile, with its breath will wither young, confused, and abundant. The time of signal has come. The hierarchy will draw back the veil for those who must open their hearts further. In her, the cosmos offers itself as light and guidance. From the valley, it radiates, and the life consciousness will correspond with a deep response. The belayed cocoons will open if they can resist the late frosts. Ultimate fruits will feed the starving universe. The worm is judged, but the will of the energy did not participate in it, releasing them. Be careful not to forget the law. The secret for this is to live it. Three blind men leading the 3 giants. Their hearts are beating, but they know nothing of the world they exhaust by blood. The purple eats with them a postprandial banquet. As if they were desserts, then conspire to take everything of what little is left. So from the east, they strike down the bird where the blind quarter is carried hidden. The hunt will last 3 years, and there will be no prey at all. Then they will once again decimate an innocent nation. The 1-8 man will clench his jaws, and from his anger the black flowers of extinction will be born. Expect earthquakes, tsunamis, raging hurricanes, winds as fast as sound, droughts and floods. Expect chaos and social breakdown. Economics, religious. You will know that from all this the necessary will happen. But know even more. Know that what you can imagine and expect will be only a small aspect of what will happen. Never has your planetary counterpart gone through what is happening today. Even more powerful tools than earthquakes and other empathic manifestations to purification will be activated. For this unprecedented stage and the end of the transition, energies will act under non-purifying and transmuting formats. Open in your consciousness for them a space of absolute dimensions. Stay in a degree of openness that does not limit your being to what is coming. You only have indications. Understand that the tools that will be applied by will in the cosmic are unknown to you. Otherwise, your existence in that vibrational scale would not have been able to sustain itself before them. They were and are preserved so that the purity of their condition as a virginal attitude fulfills the system of the first and the last intervention. One day, flowers will transform the face of this universe earth by the will of the unique. The center of the Brotherhood among you will be few. Yet the fire of friction regains, and many of the same, only the most primitive aspects still attuned and confirmed. Like inverted pyramids, the magnificence and solidity of their bases, settled in on their inner levels, will be little to show in a world of forms. Misunderstood and harassed, the centers of the Brotherhood, supported by the pioneers of the new humanity as oases, will offer to quench the thirst for truth. If you now think that you are obliged to go through unjust and ungrateful circumstances, and you make that experience and feel like your personal interpretive doctrine, you are calling the executors of the law. You still do not see how the context of your existence is composed of perfect opportunities to redeem your errors and deviations, as well as to apply, oriented to service, your qualities and your indissoluble remnant of the instructions you received. For that hour, a 5-year period of apparent calm in the East. Like moths, they have worked where the eyes of the knife cannot see. 5 barrows, 5 dangerous barrows, that the owls are silent and absolute threat. When the scream comes from Albania, everything will come out and manless machines will race across the skies, looking to regain control. In that hour of doctrines will betray life without exception. In silence, seek that which they have denied. Silently seek the absolute disposition before the truth. Let it take you away. On the Mist Island, they welcome the one who presents himself as the expected enlightenment. Born on the other side of the giants, his falsehood will not be perceived by those who have been the greatest of the falsehoods. The law allows it in fulfillment of the will. The deceivers will fall into deception. Fissure after fissure, those lands will be prepared for their purification and synthesis. The fulfillment of the cycle will no longer be something improbable and will become a constant reality. You, who prepared yourself to manifest and express them in your own life, will have to become malleable cooperators of the hierarchy. Your life must become a reflection of that hidden hierarchical identity that encompasses you. Take the envisaged step and you will no longer be passive members of the Brotherhood. It was foreseen from the beginning that you ask yourself, what price would you have to pay for freedom? But in truth, we say to you that only the slavery has a price, to which you submit in disharmony with the will. As in olden times, prophetic energy supplies fresh water to the barren reality. But also, as in ancient times, few will recognize the voice of prophecy. Your cultural compulsion for the tangible has placed you beyond certain limits. Open yourself like flowers to the inner sun. Let its light cleanse over you and purify you. Give yourself to the unique and only to Him. You can rely on His immutability as a guarantee of the Absolute. Recover the disposition and redimension it of not needing anything but the truth. Become visible if necessary, but do not stand out. Exemplify, but do not by seeking recognition in it. Be simple, be not invisible, lacking. Comply with the law, but do not seek to wield it or float it. Do your own thing, but understand that there will only be truth in it if you execute it for everyone and in the whole.
Do not delay,
because in doing so, you are not the ones who are delight, but the whole situation of this universe earth. We will accompany you. In the Father, there is nothing more important for us than this accompaniment. In Him, come close to us in essence and consciousness. From the other side of the mirrors, we watch over you by watching over the law. Cross that which is only as a border, your own illusion. Discover that as everything happens in Him, nothing will be denied to you, for you will always be offered what His law considers to be your own need. You seek to love and you debate in doubt. You look for harmony and you try to avoid any possibility of being its tool. You remain with almost nothing to do when from the cosmic life it's revealed to you the immensity that awaits immutably for your participation. Four groups will be stimulated and assisted even before the apex of the transition into light. 4. The fifth before the 4 already is. The light keeps the seed gathered from another harvest. The wind distributes it by blowing fertility. The darkness is torn apart, and from every corner, without care, the worst attempts have to be tried. A light from giving to the whole, but they must try in every way to possess it. If you deeply seek to love in that uncertain hour, it will be enough to open yourself unconditionally to the source of the unique love. How would you find water if you keep yourself away from the stream? How would you warm up yourself from the sun if during a cold day you keep yourself under a thick mantle? How, yes, if as a non-stranger you remain before your life, your inner pulse that sustains you. Seek in this stimuli the bridge to that which is offered to you. Do not wait. It is no longer time to wait. Fiercely consume your life in the fire of creation. Come, everything for you is ready. Answer, pilgrims. Only portals of light await you. The Brotherhood of Light. Verses of Prophetic Instruction by Daniel Gagliardo.